Battle through the heavens. The rock road was extremely long. At a glance, it was just like a large meandering snake that followed the mountain range to the top before disappearing in the distant dark clouds. One would feel exceptionally small while walking it. Xiao Yan halted his feet as he looked at this scene, falling deep into thought as he did so. The reason the lightning mountain possessed such a frightening wind-lightning strength was probably related to these unusual trees. With the silver trees providing a lightning strength, the dark clouds in the sky would never scatter. Thus, one would be able to achieve double the effect with half the effort when practicing a lightning affinity Qi method in this place. This wind-lightning pavilion really knows how to choose a place. 7-colored large crane. Could it be that Miss Feng from the wind-lightning pavilion is the one on it? The mountain road immediately emitted numerous exclamations and envious noises when they saw the 7-colored large crane. Xiao Yan's gaze also paused on that 7-colored large crane. He did not take another look at the colorful crane. Instead, his gaze locked onto the graceful figure on the back of the enormous crane. Looking at that familiar back, this lady was indeed Feng Qing'er. The enormous crane did not pause because of the numerous exclamations from the mountain road. With a flap of its enormous wings, it charged into the clouds and quickly disappeared. Looks like this woman is not simple. I have seen the people from the 4 pavilions. If I really want to compare them, this Feng Qing'er is the most dangerous. Xiao Yan revealed an expression of being deep in thought as he muttered to himself in his heart. Those that he did not know were the most frightening things. Tang Ying, Wang Chen, and Mu Qingluan might be strong since they possessed their own trump cards that could fight with an expert Dou Zong. However, the 3 of them did not give Xiao Yan such a dangerous feeling. Only this Feng Qing'er caused him to be unable to see through her. If I have guessed correctly, it is likely that the final victor in this 4-pavilion grand meeting will be this woman, Xiao Yan softly sighed. Although there was no basis for this thinking of his, he vaguely had a feeling that caused him to think in this manner. Xiao Yan curled his mouth and muttered in his heart. After which, he ceased remaining still on this mountain road any longer. He increased his pace. In the end, he transformed into a black line that swiftly rushed to the top of the mountain. Although the lightning mountain was quite tall, Xiao Yan successfully reached the top of the mountain within less than 10 minutes. Even with Xiao Yan's character, he could not help but feel somewhat speechless at this moment. He did not expect this 4-pavilion grand meeting to actually attract such a crazy flow of human traffic. Xiao Yan was stunned for a moment before he sighed in resignation. His body moved and he rushed to an enormous silver-colored tree. At this moment, quite a number of people were also standing in those strange silver trees around. Therefore, Xiao Yan did not attract many eyes. The most eye-catching part of the entire peak of the lightning mountain was an enormous silver-colored tower. This tower was at least 300 to 400 feet in height, appearing extremely majestic. A lightning glow flickered around the tower while the peak of it was inserted into the cloud layer, giving it an extremely mysterious feeling. At this moment, these seats were all empty. Clearly, those who had the qualification to sit in them were the heavyweights in the 4 pavilions. Xiao Yan sat cross-legged in the silver tree when he saw that the grand meeting had not formally begun. After which, he shut his eyes and recuperated. The disciples of the wind-lightning pavilion are indeed well-trained. Xiao Yan's eyes opened when the gong sound appeared. He randomly glanced at the positions the human figures occupied as he quietly spoke in his heart. Bang! An enormous thunderbolt suddenly rushed down from the cloud layer while Xiao Yan was muttering to himself. The instantaneous bright light caused most people to reflexively shut their eyes. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over them and his gaze immediately paused on a familiar figure. A coldness flashed across his eyes. Fei Tian. It's actually the Wind Lightning Pavilion's 4 pavilion chiefs. TSK, the Wind Lightning Pavilion is indeed filled with experts. The person in the middle should be the rumored Lei Zunjie, right? Some exclamations resounded over the place when everyone opened their eyes and saw the four people at the seats. Xiao Yan's heart jumped when he heard this. His gaze turned and instantly paused on a person at the middle. This person had a large build and looked as though he was only 40 or 50 years old. However, his chin was covered in a silver-colored beard. He was wearing a silver-colored robe with lightning pictures sewn on it. Looking from a distance, those pictures seemed to be alive as they continuously flowed. A slight lightning aura even vaguely seeped out of it. Is he the chief of the Wind Lightning Pavilion, the one called Lei Zunjie? He is indeed extremely frightening, Xiao Yan exhaled. This was the first time his actual body had faced a real Dou Zun for the first time. Although the purple-clothed, old man whom he had met at the Hall of Souls was also a Dou Zun, Xiao Yan was merely a wisp of spiritual strength at that time. Swoosh! Haha, Jian Zunjie, you are the fastest to arrive this time around. A silver-robed Lei Zunjie stood up when he saw the enormous sword in the sky. After which, his laughter sounded over the lightning mountain like rolling thunder. The enormous sword shook gently and transformed into countless light spots as it collapsed. Two figures slowly descended from the sky above, landing at their seats. It is unexpected that even Jian Zunjie has arrived. Looks like those who have arrived at the Wind Lightning Mountain Range earlier are merely the advance party of the four pavilions. Those who are arriving now are the core individuals. Jian Zunjie's appearance instantly caused the stadium's atmosphere to become fiery hot. Jian Zunjie did not really bother with Lei Zunjie's laughter. He rolled his eyes and sat down in a chair. Tang Ying behind him respectfully stood with his hands lowered. Old Jian still has such temper. It looks like the match back then is still a blotch in your heart. A strange laugh, that carried a sinister feeling, sounded when Jian Zunjie had just sat down. Immediately, a dark black glow rushed over from the foot of the mountain. It appeared to have teleported as materialized in their seats. With a wave of his sleeves, the figure unceremoniously sat down. Back then, the old me was unlucky and narrowly lost to him. It is at least much better than some people who have merely lasted for 100 exchanges in Feng Zunjie's hands before being defeated by him. Don't you agree, Huang Quan Zunjie? Jian Zunjie glanced at the black-robed, old man as he spoke in a neutral voice. This fellow clearly has the fastest speed, yet he always likes to be the last to arrive. Jian Zunjie raised his eyes. His turbid gaze looked at the distant sky as he laughed. Jian Zunjie's voice had just sounded when the dragon roar like wind was transmitted over with a bang. Immediately, an enormous green whirlwind appeared above the mountain in front of a countless number of eyes. Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly shifted when this green-colored whirlwind appeared. He stared firmly at it and the fists in his sleeves abruptly tightened. Feng Zunjie. The enormous green-colored whirlwind appeared to be twinkling as it materialized in the sky above the enormous stadium within a couple of breaths. The whirlwind gently shook and suddenly paused. After which, it transformed into a countless number of light spots, which scattered. Two figures rode a breeze as they slowly landed next to their seats. It is actually Feng Zunjie. Unexpectedly, four Zunjie, Dou Zun, have arrived at this grand meeting. This trip has indeed been worthwhile. Usually, it is difficult to see even an elite Dou Zun, yet four of them have appeared together at this moment. The four-pavilion grand meeting is extremely grand. No wonder it attracts so many people. I wonder just who will be the final victor of the grand meeting this time around. The two people, who were the last to appear, naturally attracted the gazes of the entire stadium, more so for Xiao Yan. The two figures had just appeared when his gaze instantly turned to them. Xiao Yan had already met the green-clothed Mu Qing. Hence, his eyes did not pause for long on her before they suddenly paused on the old man in front of her. Is he Feng Zunjie? Xiao Yan's eyes slowly sized up the green-clothed, old man. An excitement also flashed across his eyes. He had heard about this Feng Zunjie quite a number of times from Yao Lao. This person could be considered a friend of Yao Lao that had undergone life and death situations with him. If these words were true and he valued the relationship as greatly as what Yao Lao had described, Xiao Yan should be able to achieve a truly great helper this time around. The green-robed Feng Zunjie's face wore a warm smile. He reciprocated the courtesy of Lei Zunjie and Jian Zunjie. However, he did not give Huang Quan Zunjie by the side another look. Although the four pavilions were afraid of each other, Feng Zunjie was at odds with this Huang Quan Zunjie. Moreover, the other party's shoddiness and ruthless character were things that Feng Zunjie disliked. After the couple of them politely greeted each other, Lei Zunjie raised his head and looked at the sky. After which, he slowly stood up and swept his gaze over the stadium. Immediately, the noisiness that shot toward the clouds became completely silent under those eyes that contained a faint lightning glow. Lei Zunjie's words were filled with a domineering tone. It was just like an unyielding thunderbolt that did not allow anyone to refute it. Some people might not like to hear such words, but no one present dared to oppose him with his frightening strength. The frightening deterrence of an elite Dou Zun was really extraordinary. Lei Zunjie only nodded slightly when he saw that no unusual noises had appeared. His hand was waved and a clear gong once again sounded in an unhurried manner. The number of participants of this season's 4-pavilion grand meeting is 53, including the 4 disciples of the 4 pavilions. The old rules will still apply. It will begin with a chaotic battle until there are only 8 people remaining. All the competitors please enter now. Lei Zunjie's voice once again sounded when the gong appeared. The appearance of these people immediately caused the grand meeting to turn into one with a fiery hot atmosphere. Deafening cheers surged around the mountain in an overwhelming manner. They charged to the sky. The distant dark clouds had also begun to ripple as a result. Being one of the main characters of this grand meeting, the entrance of Mu Qing and the 2 others caused the cheers in the stadium to surge even more. The atmosphere on the mountain top had swiftly entered an extremely excited one following their entrances. Screech! The atmosphere outside of the arena immediately soared when Feng Qing entered. Everyone knew that the chances of this lady winning this season's 4-pavilion grand meeting were the highest among all the participants. The moment Feng Qing appeared, surprise flashed across the eyes of Feng Zunjie, Qian Zunjie, and Huang Quan Zunjie in the VIP seats. Immediately, Jian Zunjie laughed, looks like Lei Zunjie has really invested. You have even personally helped hide her actual strength. Are you planning on catching us by surprise? Lei Zunjie laughed out loud when he heard this. He said, "What is Qian Zunjie saying? This girl's status is a little unique. Therefore, I can only do it this way. There is really no other choice." Looks like Lei Zunjie really wishes to continue holding the top seat of this season's 4-pavilion grand meeting. The Wind Lightning Pavilion likely has the highest chance of victory in this competition. Feng Zunjie's gaze paused on Feng Qing's lovely body as he softly spoke. Feng Zunjie merely smiled noncommittally in the face of Lei Zunjie's words. The Yellow Spring Pavilion had always been ranked last among the 4 pavilions. However, Huang Quan Zunjie was helpless to improve this. After all, the Yellow Spring Pavilion was indeed unable to compare with the other 3 pavilions when it came to the method of grooming the younger generation. Xiao Yan's eyes were firmly locked onto Feng Qing while he sat on the silver wood. He had always felt a vague sense of danger when facing this woman. This had nothing to do with strength. It was just a vague feeling that was inexplicable. This place is indeed worthy of being the Central Plains. Even in the Black Corner region, one would be hard-pressed to find a couple of young Dou Huangs. It is unexpected that the 4-pavilion grand meeting has attracted so many of them, Xiao Yan softly sighed. The Central Plains were indeed worthy of being the part of the Dou Qi continent with the most strong people. This place was filled with tons of talent. No one knew if there would suddenly be a complete dark horse appearing. Huh? While Xiao Yan was feeling amazed, his shifting gaze suddenly paused. A surprised, "huh," escaped from his mouth. Xiao Yan slightly frowned. With his current strength, this kind of familiar feeling would not appear without reason. While Xiao Yan was feeling uncertain, the black-clothed man clenched his hand, and a long spear flashed and appeared. His body also coincidentally shifted, allowing Xiao Yan to see the outline of his face. Xiao Yan was stunned for a moment when he saw that familiar face from the side. Finally, he abruptly clapped his hands. A stunned expression flashed across his eyes. Lin Yan. What is that fellow doing here? The surprise in Xiao Yan's eyes gradually withdrew and he involuntarily shook his head. He had just arrived in the Central Plains for less than half a year, but he had actually met quite a few familiar people from back then. Fate was really unpredictable. Since everyone has gathered, let the competition begin. Lei Zunjia from the leader's seat ceased chatting when he saw that everyone had gathered in the arena. He raised his head and waved his hand. That faint voice of his resonated within everyone's ears. After Lei Zunjia's words rang out, the atmosphere in the arena suddenly became tense. 53 gazes swept across each other. Their eyes were filled with caution for the other party. In this kind of chaotic situation, all one needed to do was to get themselves to continue remaining in order to obtain victory. At the same time, however, most of the people knew that this selection was extremely harsh and cruel. Only 8 among the 53 people would remain. 4 of these 8 positions were already occupied by the people from the 4 pavilions. In other words, only 4 among the other 49 people would be able to remain. 4 out of 49. One could just imagine just what kind of intense battle would erupt as a result of such a filtering method. Ever since Xiao Yan discovered Lin Yan's figure, his eyes had remained focused on him. With his eyesight, he was naturally able to tell the latter's strength at a glance. 4-star Dou Huang. This strength might be considered quite good in other places, but it was barely considered to meet the requirement to participate in the competition in this place. It is unexpected that he has actually reached the Dou Huang level after having not met for a couple of years. I remember before I undertook the retreat back then, Lin Yan's strength was merely at the Dou Huang class. It seems that he should have also met with some lucky and unique encounters during these years. Xiao Yan's eyes rotated over Lin Yan's back as he softly muttered to himself. However, for some unknown reason, Lin Xiuya and Lu Qing are not with him. The 3 of them should have left together, Xiao Yan muttered. He had quite a good impression of Lin Yan and the 2 others. Moreover, when he had just broken through to the Dou Huang class, Lin Yan and the other 2 still followed him despite knowing that he had a great enemy like the Misty Cloud sect. This favor was something Xiao Yan did not allow himself to forget. However, these 3 fellows had left by themselves because of boredom after the matter of the Misty Cloud sect was settled. Thus, Xiao Yan had lacked the opportunity to return the favor. Clang! With the 2 exchanging blows, the tense atmosphere in the arena instantly collapsed. Waves of various colored, powerful Dou Qi surged out. After which, the entire arena had completely descended into chaos. Over 50 Dou Huang class Dou Qi had spread to every single corner of the stadium. A powerful energy pressure permeated the stadium, causing quite a number of people to feel a pressure. Dou Qi spread in all directions in the arena as chaos continued to spread. At this moment, almost everyone beside them was their opponent. Hence, every single person acted like frightened birds. As long as someone entered within a few dozen feet from them, the Dou Qi within their bodies would involuntarily unleash a fierce attack on the person who had barged into their territory. Chaos was a kind of catalyst. Seeing the chaotic battle in the arena that caused one's skin to turn numb, the surrounding gallery erupted into a soul-stirring cheer. Quite a number of people's faces and necks reddened because of the atmosphere. From the looks of it, they seemed to wish that they were one of those present in the arena. The deafening sound wave caused Xiao Yan to feel quite helpless. A thought flashed through his heart and his Dou Qi covered both of his ears, completely isolating him from the noise. His gaze, on the other hand, had remained focused on the chaotic battle. The chaos continued for less than 10 minutes, but there were over a dozen seriously injured competitors who had no choice but to leave the arena. After all, if they were to continue fighting, it would likely no longer just be a question of serious injuries. Of course, the person that really exceeded Xiao Yan's expectations was Lin Yan. His strength could only be considered intermediate in this place. However, he was not eliminated despite over 10 minutes passing. Xiao Yan only managed to tell some of the reasons after carefully observing him. This Lin Yan's agility seems to be very strange, but it is just too ugly. Xiao Yan was deep in thought as he watched Lin Yan's agility, which appeared extremely ugly to the point of being awkward. On the surface, it was just like a duck swaying left and right. However, under Xiao Yan's eyesight, he was able to tell that this agility Dou technique was definitely not ordinary. Its profoundness was not inferior to the 3000 lightning movement. This fellow really has had a unique encounter during these years, Xiao Yan smiled. He was certain that this ugly, awkward agility technique was something that Lin Yan of the past had never practiced. Clearly, it should be something that he had obtained during these years of training. Xiao Yan's eyes shifted away from Lin Yan and slowly swept over the arena. Immediately, he narrowed his eyes. The arena might currently be extremely chaotic, but there were still 4 safe, small circles. The owners of these 4 small circles were Feng Qing Er, Mu Qing Wan, Tang Ying, and Wang Chen. The chaos continued within the arena. It had basically become a filter where people were eliminated. Those who remained were swiftly becoming fewer and fewer. Following the swift reduction in numbers, the chaos within the arena gradually diminished, especially the case when there were only 11 people remaining in the arena. The chaotic arena immediately became unusually quiet. The 11 people were scattered all over the place. While they were panting, they were also cautiously watching each other. Being unique, it was naturally much easier for Lin Yan to attract the attention of the others. It was the first time in so many 4-pavilion grand meeting that someone was able to endure until now with just the strength of a 4-star Dou Huang. Of course, such good luck would naturally not continue to accompany Lin Yan. After the 11 people in the arena had briefly rested, the 10 others immediately turned their gazes toward him with ill intent. A red-clothed man among them, who had reached the strength of an 8-star Dou Huang, stomped on the ground. His body shot straight toward Lin Yan like an arrow. That red-clothed man let out a cold laugh after his futile attempt. The large blade in his hand was drawn until many afterimages appeared. His body moved and quickly gave chase like the maggots in one's bones. The sharp blade glow in his hand forced Lin Yan to pull back. Xiao Yan had already stood up on the silver wood. His eyes narrowed as he watched Lin Yan, who narrowly escaped time and time again. He would not watch Lin Yan die from another person's blade. If it came to a critical juncture, he would naturally intervene and rescue him. But, something seems wrong. Xiao Yan's eyes firmly stared at the 2 where one was chasing and the other fleeing. His brows were suddenly knit together. That red-clothed man had a couple of chances to injure Lin Yan earlier, but he did not attack. From the looks of it, it seemed as though he was purposefully chasing Lin Yan. That fellow is planning on forcing Lin Yan into Wang Chen's attacking range. Xiao Yan's heart turned cold. This fellow was really vicious. He was thinking of using another person to do his dirty deed. Just when Xiao Yan had discovered the intention of the red-clothed man, Lin Yan, who was swiftly withdrawing, finally took a step into Wang Chen's attacking range. "Stop, I admit defeat." Lin Yan felt his heart immediately turn numb when he saw this black-colored pillar attack. The gap between Wang Chen and him was really too great. Even with the help of his agility, he was no match for him. However, Wang Chen merely laughed in the face of Lin Yan's cry. He was a bloodthirsty person and blood had to appear on his hand. How was it possible for him to withdraw his attack? "Damn it, you shameless bastard." Lin Yan furiously cursed with a pale face when he saw that this fellow did not let him off despite having admitted defeat. Nevertheless, cursing was one thing. At this critical moment, his strange ugly agility was hurriedly displayed. His body swayed strangely as he swiftly withdrew. Bang! The black pillar shot over like a poisonous snake, striking Lin Yan's shoulders. Qi! Lin Yan immediately vomited a mouthful of fresh blood after suffering this heavy blow. His body rubbed on the ground, forming a scar that was dozens of meters long. Had he not avoided being struck in a fatal point, it was likely that he would have died. The scene in the battleground had stirred waves of curses outside of the arena. Wang Chen used such a vicious attack when the other party had already admitted defeat. From the looks of it, he did appear a little despicable. Damn it, this fellow is really shameless. He has really thrown away the face of the Yellow Spring Pavilion. If Wang Chen's earlier actions were said to have stirred some boos, this current action of his had infuriated quite a number of people. Immediately, many furious curses were emitted from all directions. "Am I about to die here?" A soft muttering sounded in Lin Yan's heart. Just when he was prepared to shut his eyes and await his death, however, a suction force suddenly surged from behind him. His body also involuntarily pulled back. Immediately, he sensed a warm hand patting his shoulders. After which, a helpless voice which seemed familiar appeared beside his ear without any forewarning. Do you have nothing better to do, but come here and participate?"